We the millennials. For real, we back and we working. All of these clowns like to stay in the circus. They do. K-Dot be bringing the proof, but none of these people like hearing the truth.
I'm not a fluke, I'm not a rat, I'm not a snake, cause I got your back. Now listen up closely as we spit facts. Now listen up closely and just relax.
Millennials versus the world. Okay. Millennials versus the world. Okay. Millennials versus the world. Okay. Millennials versus the world. What's up? Millennials versus the world. What's up? Millennials versus the world. Okay. Millennials versus the world. What's up?
Millennials versus the world.
What up, man? I ain't even going through the whole intro. You know, it's your boy K-Dot Mims from Millennials versus the World. This one hit different, man. I got one of my favorite people of all time, man. Big mentor to me, coached me in high school, was a big time mentor, even down to chopping me up in the classrooms when I needed haircuts, any advice I needed throughout life. It's like 10 plus years of mentor, man. Always had an open door with me. The one and only Coach Ray, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, brothers? Good to see you, man. As always, what's up, good peoples out there in the podcast world, man?
Oh yes, man. So how you holding up during this pandemic? I know it's been crazy and everybody been quarantined and stuff. How's it been for you?
Hey, man, it's you know, I'm being real big, and I don't know if it's because I'm a little elder statesman now, but I'm real big in controlling what I can control, man.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mentors, my basketball coach as well, man. He always taught me, man, that the little things matter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you control the little things, then the big things take care of themselves. And so I looked at it and I try to find a positive in every moment, man. I really appreciate my players, students that I mentor, find a positive in every moment. So I try to find a positive in it, man. I remember talking to my friends and my wife as well about, you know, hey, I hate that I miss out on the times that I missed out on. You know, I wish I could be home more. And boom, here you have it. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had my moments where I'm about to pull my hair out, or me and the kids ain't really seeing eye to eye, and you know I'm tired of them, they tired of me. But at the same time, man, you know it's been a true blessing, man. And you know, all praise due to the Most High, man, just because I've been able to, you know, unfortunately for some people who have been able to do so, you know, financially we've been pseudo stable, man, and we've been blessed to be able to continue to move forward and with our home, man, and you know, prayer for consideration to everybody who couldn't. You know, but I'm happy, you know, and I'm feeling real good, man. Just like I said, being able to, you know, on one accord, you know, be more of a present father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, I was a great provider, but being more of a present father, but also, you know, allow my wife and I to rekindle some things that we miss out on because we constantly in the wind with each other. You know, my wife is an early riser, so she's a workout person, so she's up at 4 every morning working out.
Yeah.
So she's coming home from the gym, and when she's coming home from the gym, I'm leaving out going to school. I'm a late guy, so I work out after school.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have a sport or something or a driver's ed, I'm getting home. By the time I'm getting home, we got time to kiss each other on the cheek, make sure the kid's good for the next day, recap a little bit of our day. But she knocked out sleep, and I'm still up. So you know, this has been a blessing for all around in my opinion. You know, I know I'm not happy that the pandemic happened, but again, I'm trying to find a positive in a negative situation.
And I feel the same way because, like, with my first kid being born next month, I know at least I'm gonna be home with him for the first 2 or 3 months of his life. I mean, you know, and the same thing with the financial situation. Me and my wife been good too. But I wanted to ask, like, do you think this is the new normal, or are we gonna get back to some type of normalcy in the future? Or I know it's hard to call, but just your personal opinion on that.
My opinion, Mims. I tell you what, man. I think if you look at it like any day, you know what I'm saying, any day, you don't get that day back.
Facts.
So, you know, if you missed out on an opportunity to change somebody's life, you missed out on an opportunity to step up in your business life, in any aspect of your life, you miss out on an opportunity, you don't get that day back. So to your question, is it what's going to be our new normal going forward? What's your new normal going forward, period, in your life?
Facts.
You feel what I'm
I like
saying?
that.
So
I do. I like that.
as you move forward, I mean, you shouldn't honestly live the current day or like the previous day.
Facts.
You know, because you don't get that back. So I know that's a big, you know, code or tag word now, you know, the new normal. But if you're doing, I feel like I try to do my life this way. If I'm doing it right, every day is a new normal.
Facts.
I'm attacking each day with a new outlook. You know, you take your moment to pray to whoever you choose to pray to. Me, I'm a Christian, so I pray to God. I ask for that guidance in that day, and that's my new normal for that day. And so I feel like he prepares me as long as I'm preparing myself to be open to him guiding me through that new normal the next day. Now, to be tangible. You know, let me get off the spiritual realm, but to
Yeah,
be
yeah, no, I
tangible.
got you. Yeah, yeah.
To be tangible, man, I think it's important, man. You as an educator, you know this. What's a new norm in your classroom every day? It's
Facts.
something new every day.
Facts.
So as educators, we are conditioned to be flexible.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We're conditioned to take it as it comes. We're conditioned to have to adjust our teaching style to meet the needs of our students where they are. So in the same context, you got to apply it to your life, man. We got to be ready to take on the new, if you will, normalcy of what's going on. I do think that there are gonna be some adjustments. I mean, I think the difference is now is we're all riding the same river, but not in the same boat. If you feel I'm coming from with
I
that.
do. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely affected a lot of people a lot of different ways. I think the blessing in it again, that nobody can stand back and say they weren't affected at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's crossed all lines. So I think going forward, man, it's gonna be a constant adjustment. You know, as human beings, we hate change.
We do.
We resist and fight change. When we're comfortable, we are comfortable. You know, in all aspects of everything. So I think going forward, brother, it's gonna be an opportunity for us to, I think, slow down, man. Slow down and really honestly recognize what's really important in your life. Getting your faculties together in terms of realizing, hey, did I really need to work that third job?
Yeah.
We are coming off of, 5 months ago, somebody said, nah, man, I'm a hustler. I grind, grind time. Me, myself, I'm like, hey, if my kids and my wife said they want something, I'm going to go get it. I got to get a fifth job, sixth job, whatever.
Facts.
I'm going to
Facts.
go get it. And not recognizing, a pastor of mine told me, said, yes, that's great. But you know what they would love better is your presence.
Mm.
Now, as a man, we are conditioned that that's our worth.
Did this make you realize that? Did this make you realize that? Or was you starting to catch on to that before
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, like, did this situation, I know you conscious, you know what I'm saying, you want to be home more, but like,
there you go.
Did this make you be like, yo, you know what, this is where it draws the line. I enjoy this too much to even like continue to hustle like that.
I tell you what, it's kind of like we trying to get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you got to do.
Oh yeah,
we all know we got to do.
yeah.
But application is a whole nother animal. And so as I'm going to my hustle and my grind, I remember we had a conversation about, coach, man, how you do this, how you get the extra hustle, how you get whatever.
For sure.
It's in my mind, I knew, but it's like I was in love with the idea of the hustle and the grind.
Mm-hmm.
We get endorphins from things that please us. Whether it can be a pleasing thing to you, but it also can be a negative to your life. Facts. And so as like I said, as a man, to see my family light up when I'm able to provide certain things at the drop of a hat was also pleasing to me. But I also recognizing now, looking back on it, that it could eventually have been a detriment to me. Because in my mind, watching my father growing up, my dad was just the same way. I never knew. The funny thing, my mom messed with me all the time about this is like, she was like, boy, you didn't realize that we weren't rich until you was about 11, 12 years old. Because anything I ever wanted, my father got for me.
Yep.
And as I became an adult man and recognized numbers and how, like, dang, my dad, that's all he made a year. But we went to every theme park.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Bahamas. We all over the place. And, him and my mom working, medial jobs, nothing extravagant, working. But like she said, I never knew. Like, I remember the time, like, all right, what's your Christmas list? And I'm just like, I'm trying to think of stuff. I'm like, shoot, I got that already. Got this, I got that. But, to that point. So, but I feel like, it was to a detriment at times. He missed some of my games. He was tired. But at the same time, he made a way. So, and he kind of instilled in us like, hey, man, as a Ray man, that's what you're supposed to do. So going back to your question, man, I think I knew it, but being forced to live it. And then, as a man, your biggest fear is not being able to provide. For me anyway. I'm not going to speak for all men.
For sure.
For me, being able to have to come home, look my family in the face and say, well, I don't know. And so that also was a testament or a test of my faith as well in terms of my belief system and in terms of recognizing that, God has always provided for me. I got to really lean on that now.
Yeah.
When we all were at that point of not knowing the next day.
And you know what's
You know,
crazy to think about? Oh, I'm sorry.
and it showed, it showed. I was forced actually to show a side of vulnerability to my wife that I really hadn't shown in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was honestly forced to look at her and say, "Hey, man, if I don't know what Wake County Public School is going to do, I don't know what school's going to do tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to shut down and say, hey, you know, we can't pay. We're not paying anybody.
Mm.
You know, so it was able to allow me to not, you know, because when I talk about to younger people, and I'll give you same advice. You know, the best thing you can do for your child is show them that you're not that finished product you are right now.
Yeah.
That you failed, you scraped your knee, you made bonehead decisions. Not that you're condoning them, but you made them.
Yep.
And so, you know, talk to my children about, you know, the idea that, hey, you know, I'm nervous and afraid and scared because I don't know either. Dad normally knows a lot, but I don't know about this either.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. You know what I think about when you say this, when you say like doing sacrifices and it may be like, it helps you out, but it may be a negative impact long term. It's crazy to think about that because like when I was in like, first of all, anybody come through Athens know who Coach Ray is and how hard you went for us and how available you was. Until right now, especially when I was that age, I never thought about the sacrifices you was making from your family to be there with us. Like, and you were there. You want a halftime mentor, coach, nothing. So it's like a blessing and a curse. I kind of feel bad being with the family because I coach now too. And like my wife, you know, I come home, leave the house 5:30, come home 7:38, and she getting that. We talked about this one time. She get that hour and a half of me, and then you know I done gave everybody else that whole 12 hours.
Yes, sir.
And it's just crazy to think about because I remember back in the day, I really can't think about like it being any different, but it never once crossed my mind like, yo, this man is sacrificing time at home and didn't even think about what that looked like for you because you were there so much, man. So that hit different now that I understand it.
You know how it manifests itself with me with y'all?
What's up?
Think about how hot I would get with y'all if y'all didn't execute like I wanted y'all to execute.
Yo, yeah. Facts.
Cause I took it personal. Cause in my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm giving up time away from my family. You know, my wife was at that time, she was coming to the game still, what have you, but I'm giving away time for my family. And for you to not at least attempt to give me maximum effort is disrespectful to me as well as my family. So that's how I took it.
Facts.
In the same breath, man, you know, being a young man, you know, when my wife met me, I was coaching 3 sports. I was coaching football, basketball, and track. You know, and I wasn't going home. Like I was 12-hour days every day.
Yeah.
And what I found and I became aware, especially when I had children, is that my patience, I was drained. I was emotionally drained because I knew no other way than to give whoever was in front of me, whoever child was in front of me, I gave them all I had.
Facts.
And so unfortunately, a lot of times for most coaches, especially if they're in it for a long time, what ends up happening is their family get the short end of the stick. My mentor told me this a while when I first started. I never really understood it till I got older and longer into it. He was like, Ray, the longer you in this, number one, you're going to realize that you care more about it than your players do. That's just a fact of the game.
That is a fact.
Also, be loyal to yourself. And that was ringing with me, and I just couldn't understand what he meant. But what he was saying was, sometimes you gotta be loyal to you and yours over the players, over the school, you know, over the chasing of we need this much more square footage at the house.
Yeah.
You know, you've been provided a home. You've been provided a home. So do you need extra 1,000 square foot? Would you love it? Sure, everybody would love it. You know, extra 1,000 square footage. But you've been provided a home. Your family would much rather have you there. You know, I remember a couple times my wife was like, you know what? Yeah, I would love to have the exterior stuff, but I would rather you be home.
Yeah. So I was going to ask. We gonna get into the topic of the night, but you drop.
Take your time, boss. Take your time.
Yeah. So, so for me, mentorship has always been big. Like even if you and I haven't talked for a year, you know, I'll shoot you a text in a heartbeat. Like, what's this? What is that? So has your mentorship ever stopped throughout your process? Even though you know you are a mentor to so many people, do you always seek mentorship in your journey and your growth?
It's funny, man. As I've watched, you know, several of your podcasts, man, and you're doing an awesome job. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that.
If I don't tell you that enough, man, I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of all the kids, man. All the guys. Excuse me, I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah,
I'm proud of all y'all, man. I mean, as I look and I follow everybody, via social media, what have you, and like you said, man, I feel like the connection is the connection. To that point, man, I never really sought out doing that. I remember you had a conversation with one of your partners, I think it's a DJ, and you were talking about me cutting your hair, what have you, and he said it. I was like, honestly, I never sought out like that. But I tell you what, man, as I look back on it, man, that was something that my father instilled in me. And it was crazy because, like I said, he worked the crazy hours, man. He would come home, and if we were playing at Bitmore Hills on Southeast Side, represent.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So we, but you know how those games was, man. You after school, it might be 6 o'clock on a weekday, you got a game. My father would catch the city bus from his job downtown Raleigh to Bitmore Hills, come in that joint and coach the team.
Wow. That's what's up.
Fresh off having been to work since 6 o'clock that morning, he would be there 6 o'clock that night to coach our team. So he did it for myself and he did it for my brother. Like he was both of our first coaches. So I think that's where I got it from, to be honest with you, man. If I had to pinpoint something. And so for me, getting that from him, my next move was I was my brother's first coach. So whatever I would learn once I got to like high school, I would come home and teach to my brother. So I was just doing it. So it turned into teaching my brother to now him and his little friends. So, he hanging out with his little friends. They like 8, 9 years old. They coming around, So I'm like, you know what? Let me show y'all this drill. Or let me, so I'm just doing it. And so for me, it always came natural, And so a lot of times I don't see it as mentorship, to be honest with you. I feel like my attitude a lot of times is I would want someone to do that for my child or my son or my daughter.
Right.
I would, and it was done for me, not only from coaches, but teachers. That teacher that everybody had that teacher that was just so hard on you. You look back like, why she was hard on me because of this. Yeah. And so, when I'm in, how I do at school, man. I'm saying what's up to everybody. I'm saying hello to everybody. I'm trying to engage with any and all the students as many as I can, just to be a light, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to always be a negative situation. So my intention always is just to try to drop a nugget. I tell kids all the time, I say, I sleep well at night because at least somebody told you the truth that day.
Facts.
And so the truth is not always about, right and wrong. It's also find that fine line between mercy and the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so offering young people with an opportunity to hear a forthright and truthful. That's why I love high school, because I feel like it's the last 4 years of protection. And I kind of get to make give them that last little few nuggets, that little 5-piece nugget before they hit out to the real world where they don't care nothing about you.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's always been my goal, man. And, that's manifested itself in coaching athletics. When I had the fraternity at school, man, and all that kind of stuff.
That was big, yo. That was before its time. That was big.
Right. And so just being able to offer that, man, and being able to, again, just affect the lives of people. And then, like I said, a lot of times you'll see this, man, as you stay in education, if you choose to, or you continue to do what you're doing from a mental standpoint, is getting those notes, man, from people that you really never.
Oh, man. I get them now. Yo.
And it's outside, not to say that you have to, but I kind of expect it. We had you being a point guard for me and playing for me and everything that we went through together and being there and watch your maturation. But I kind of expect those from you. But like to get it from a kid that I might have spoke to 3 times.
Yep.
And the kid like, Coach, man, you never know. I remember those words you said to me. I'm thinking they not hearing anything I got to say. They could have been put in my room, because they got in trouble. I could have been breaking up a fight. I could have seen them in the hallway and they said something to me and I said something back to me. Me, I'm gonna come at you, but it's out of love. But I'm gonna give you the real. And so to hear them kids later on, whether it be at a drive-through or whether it be just out, like, hey, Coach, I'm at age now. I'm getting some folks' kids or little cousins or what have you. Oh, find Coach Ray. Find Coach Ray when you go to Athens, man. Coach Ray. So it's good stuff, man.
And it's crazy, man. I got to touch on this. When we got off the podcast the other night, my wife and I had she was like, you was on the bench? You ain't tell me you was on the bench? I was like, no. I was like, look. See, hey, look, because I never forget it like it was yesterday. I never forget transfer from Cary. I was at Cary Kid, and I came in, we was doing open gym and all that. And at the first game of the season, you didn't say the starters until we was in the locker room.
Right.
And we said the starters, I saw the numbers like, dang, I ain't start. And even to that night, I tell her this. I was like, and like even to the height of my junior year, with Panther Creek, all those great things. I don't think without learning that lesson that I would have been able to do that. And the reason why I say that is because of this. I think that I was telling my wife, like, the lesson that you taught me then, I couldn't verbalize it. Because if I would have cracked then, you were showing me that, like, oh, you fragile. Like, you really don't want the smoke you say you want. Because Coach, I remember the joint like it was yesterday. I'm gonna tell you the turning point. We was in practice. Two people were it was Q and somebody else was captains to pick 5-on-5. And it was like, yo, I got Keenan. He's like, nah, I got Keenan. He was like, yo, why everybody want my Bobby Jackson? 6 man off the bench. Why everybody want my Bobby Jackson? I was like, I ain't gonna never forget that. I was like, yo, and then like it was a turning point because like not man, but it was like from me to you, I was like, okay, he know about it. Cause you gave me that like extra confident that it wasn't a conversation, it wasn't a pat on the back. It was like that. Why everybody want Bobby? Like, he all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I know it's like, boom, I'm working hard enough. So it's crazy to think like that's naturally how you are, how many lives you change. But
I tell you what though, man, even with that situation right there, man, and you like with that group, man, you Q
man.
and Josh, man.
Oh man.
With that group, like it was and the funny thing, I just talked to Coach, me and Coach Clemens on the phone earlier today, man. And I told him I was gonna come on with you. He said, "What's up?"
Tell him I said,
he
what's
doing
going
well,
on,
man. He chilling, man. That group, man, everybody had their role, like, and I feel like you was like the final piece to that. And you know, you have always and still are to this day, I feel like a calming force in a storm.
Appreciate that.
You know, Q was your wild card. You know,
Yes,
Q was your wild card. He's your ride or die, but he's your wild card. And Josh was the uber talent, but he needed that reassurance. But either way, you was everybody's hype man.
You had to be, yeah, for sure.
And so with that being said, you being a transfer in, but they knew you, but I knew you. Like, I remember playing against you your freshman year. And so recognizing, like, and I see it in you now, like the leadership in you.
Appreciate
You know,
that.
you've never been a type to stand back and watch it happen. You kind of been the type to step forward and try to make it happen.
Always.
For not only for yourself and those for those around you. So that's what it's about, man. But it's and I tell people all the time, I say it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing that a lot of times I don't recognize in myself. When I'm talking to young people and realizing and thinking about, okay, I don't go into it with a strategy like, all right, I'm gonna try to work this kid like this. I just kind of fill it out, and I try to be forthright and understanding of them. Something great y'all said the last pod, man, was about, you know, recognizing that young people, they're people.
Yep.
They're people. And as people grow and adjust and change, they're trying to figure it out like you're trying to figure it out. Anybody trying to figure it. We all trying to figure it out every day. And so giving them that due respect and at least allowing them to voice how they're trying to figure it out. It could be just, you know, ass backwards, excuse my language, as can be, but allowing them to see that it's that way, gain some respect a lot of times. What I found, you know, I tell teachers all the time is if you will allow that, then you'll see on the back end. You'll see on the back end that, you know, it may not manifest itself right away, but you'll see on the back end. They'll understand.
And I got one more question for you, but the last comment I'll make to that, I'm glad me, Josh, and Q still cool to this day. But you know what's funny? When I went to Josh's wedding, I was in his wedding, you know, I was out there with him. We sit down, and it's funny. He's like, you know what's crazy, Coach? We didn't even realize what we had at the time. Like 10 years later, we understand it. But looking back, I'm like, bro, because we ain't mind being in the gym. We was at all the open. I was like, and then me and him sat and was like, bro, we blew it, but we didn't blow it because we made a movement. We created a movement. We really started something good.
Yeah.
But it always bothered me never getting out that first round, really, because looking back now, I'm like, everything you said, we had it. We had it, you know, and it's funny how you and Coach Clem come up in our conversation to this day. But what I wanted to ask you is like, how big has you been a mentee in your life now? Like, are you a mentee? Do you have mentors where you at as you still grow? Because, you know, the growth process is never stopping.
I mean, I'll tell you this, Mims. What you three guys, what you just mentioned right there is, and I talk about all the time, I try to surround myself with somewhat like-minded people. You sound like you've been fortunate enough to have your friends from high school that y'all still tight. You can call, they're going to give you the 100.
Absolutely.
I have a group of friends, consistent of friends that, lucky for my brother and I, we were able to go to the same high school and be close enough in age where, my friends and their younger brothers, there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from me having about 5 to now we got about 10 or 12 guys. I don't know if you probably seen pictures I posted my great brother on, and that's what that's about, man. Just having gone through something together, and realizing. So it starts there in terms of mentorship, like, being able to call someone on the phone in a situation, and they're not gonna just stroke my ego for, that sounds good, man, sound whatever. But for me, man, my basketball coach is huge for me, man. Coach Dunn, man. He was the first basketball coach at Athens Drive High School.
Oh, that's what's up.
And so I remember going to school there, man, and just recognizing him being a legend. Like, for him, a little bit backstory about him, man, and what people don't realize is when he was in high school in Raleigh, he averaged more points than Pistol Pete. Average.
Daggone.
But because he went to a segregated black high school, they didn't invite him to the East-West all East-West game.
Oh, wow.
Now, think about this, Mims. He averaged 42 points a game with no three-point line.
Good gracious alive. That's unheard of, man. That's unheard of.
Yeah, Lawrence Dunn. He averaged at Barry O'Kelly High School. So Barry O'Kelly High School was right there on Method Road. So you know what Method Road Center is now?
Yeah.
That was the old black high school for that side of town. So that's where that saying about don't sweat the small stuff came from, because he was like, man, I could have been angry, and that anger would have drove me in some bad directions. Because he said I had every right to be angry. At the end of the day, he said, I'm not saying I was better than Pistol Pete, but at least give me the shot to have got the shot at it.
Yep, facts.
Let throw the ball up and let it see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So Coach Dunn's a real huge mentor for me, man. I was lucky enough that once I finished school and came back, man, he offered me an opportunity to volunteer with basketball. Then I got into the school system and went from there. But he's huge. And like I said, I mentioned my dad a lot. My father is huge. Is my first mentor. Yep. He passed away in 2011.
Sorry to hear that.
Man, he has been, I went to his grave, not on Father's Day, man. Just like, I ain't really, get emotional, but I just knelt down, said a prayer, and just ended that prayer with, like, Dad, continue to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because, the lessons that he taught me and things of that nature, man, have been unparalleled. So those two guys, man, my football coach also, Mike Bias, I can't leave him out. Coach Bias, probably the first guy to ever really believe in me. I was a little insecure about my athletic ability in high school, not knowing, just not sure, like most kids. And so for him to, he was like, yo, you can go to the NFL, and I was like, what? And so, man, so those three guys, I had to say right off the top of my head. And then currently, man,
so it never stops. It never stops. You still learning and growing now every day.
That's my goal. That's my goal.
What's up? Mine too.
My dad told me that, man. He was like, man, whenever you say you grown, that means you done. You stunned it. You finished.
Fact.
And he and I used to have, it was never easy, man. We would have some deep, heated debate battles. From I remember, he was never gonna let nobody be better than Magic Johnson. That was his guy.
Yeah.
And so it don't matter what I said about Michael Jordan. He was like, all right. He couldn't mess with Magic though.
So are you saying Michael Jordan's the GOAT over LeBron?
Of course. Listen, we can get into that another day, but of course.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave it out. I'm gonna say this because I know that's a whole nother episode. I'm gonna say this.
Before you say that, I recognize that I'm gonna stand, and I'm like my dad. Like, there's nothing I can say that's gonna change his mind about Magic. So I understand, and don't get me wrong. It's obviously definitely a debate, but I stand where I stand. So proceed, young fella.
No, hey, look, you set me up. Hey, look. You said I ain't even gonna go down that road. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's based on what you saw. Like when I watched The Last Dance. When I watched The Last Dance, I didn't realize that I watched most of Jordan stuff on ESPN Classic. I wasn't old enough to even witness that. Like, I I would say more LeBron, definitely. But like, if there was a documentary on Kobe, I can remember Kobe's career almost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so I think that's a big part of it for the whole debate. Like, who did you witness while this greatness was happening? Because you could probably be like,
Wait till your son get here then.
oh, I know, man. Oh gosh,
Wait, y'all gonna have that conversation.
Yeah.
It's gonna be some young Thundercat out there,
Mhm.
and your son gonna be like, Dad, you tripping.
Yeah.
That LeBron dude old, man. He couldn't have done that in my day. So,
Yeah.
and I recognize that. I mean, I recognize that. I mean, you know, it goes from there, man. But that's my guy. That's my guy. I posted today about do the right thing, man. Just
Oh yeah, I saw that.
look, I watched that. I watched it like 2 days ago, man. Just looking at back, like how many things. That's 1989, bro. That's my freshman year of high school. Like
That's
thinking
crazy.
about so much going on right then that's so prevalent right now, man. It's crazy.
So
From gentrification to police brutality to just the stereotypes that we still fight on both sides.
yeah. So I was gonna ask, like, sports and that included, like with the black culture and sports and where we stand, how much of the game has changed to you, and how much of it has stayed the same? Like, you know what I mean? Like for you to
When you
watch.
say the game, what you mean?
But okay, so we can talk about sports for a second, and then we can talk about the black culture part. So, like, as time has went on, has the game became more competitive? It's been like, how has it changed to you as far as what you've seen through players you coach, even professional sports and things of that nature? Like, has it changed? Has it? How much have it changed, if there has been any?
It's definitely changed, man. I was right before I got on with you, man. I was watching the All the Smoke joint with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, and they had Rip Hamilton on the episode I was watching, and just hearing how they talk about, you look at the Malice in the Palace, that fight that happened with the Pistons and the Pacers. That never happens today. That never happens today. But that had to happen for the game to get where it is now. For my dad's generation and older guys, they remember, the Sixers and the Celtics fighting, and them dudes like in the middle of the court squaring off like this right here, and ain't nobody coming to break nothing up. They just like at the park.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, the game has evolved and changed, man. I mean, even
the competition too, or you think just the game?
I think the game has evolved, and it had to evolve. Nothing needs to stay the same. I know we hold on to. We hold on to the game like we hold on to our rap icons of our era.
Facts.
Certain songs take you certain places when you're in high school, whether it be college, whether you with your lady, whether something's going on, your boy's about to go out. That song just gets you there. So for somebody else to tell you that song is not it, you looking at them like they're crazy.
Yeah.
So sports is the same way, like you just said a little while ago about what I saw. So the game has definitely changed, man. In terms of competition, it's definitely has grown and was allowed to grow. It had to go different places. It couldn't stay the same old, throw the ball to the 7-foot dude in the block and go from there. I mean, because honestly, that's the reason Michael Jordan went number 3, because in that era, you always took a big over a guard.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? So thus Sam Bowie goes ahead of Michael Jordan.
That's crazy.
So you look at it, man, and these guys, man, today, man, it's
it's unheard of. Like,
a dog is a dog in any
agreed.
You know what I'm saying? That dog can bite in any era. So
Facts.
I know a lot of times people say, oh, he wouldn't have made it back in it. No, a dog is a dog in any era.
Facts. And it's crazy because I'll say this, like being a basketball coach now, and like seeing, like being around basketball people that played in different professional, saying all that, I'm like, you are absolutely right. A dog is a dog no matter which the era. But I guess my whole thing is I feel like the mentality has gotten so, I don't want to say soft. It's just different because kids, they I say that because even like I tell my players, it's certain things that I just never had to tell me. That
I tell you this, Mims, and that's you about to get you some of these.
Oh, yeah.
That's where that comes from, man. Because you recognize as you become a man, as you're a man, you recognize. Like, think about what you said, the retrospective conversation that you, Q, and Josh are able to have, like looking back on it. In that moment, that night at Nightdale, it hurt, but you didn't really see it for the value.
Yep.
For the long term.
Facts.
It wasn't long term. This is the end. It's over.
Facts.
But now looking back on it, and unfortunately, as you get further away from it, you're gonna look back on it with more and more revelation. Like you're gonna look back on it like, man, only if I could have. Because I give the same speech all the time to my players, whether it be whatever sport I'm playing, about how fast the time goes.
Mm-hmm. Because
you go from that first practice to that last practice, and it feel like a blink of the eye because you get in that rhythm of the season. And so, as a coach, and like I tell you the same thing my coach told me, your players are never gonna love it as much as you do because they don't get it right now.
Yep, that's a fact.
You might get that rare one or two who love it a little bit, and they really like it a whole lot. You know, it's kind of like that guy that always said he really like his girl, but he won't marry her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you like her, but you ain't really to spend the rest of your life with. So you don't really like her, but so much. So to that point, man, that's where you start understanding that as a man, you know, and that's why it's a small percentage of people that make it to the league, man, because this takes a certain mentality to be at that level. And that's why, man, for me, with LeBron James question, man, that's why I have so much respect for him, because I talk about the fact that think about the pressure that man has been under since he was 16, been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and really has never taken a misstep.
Nope.
That we know of. I'm prayerful that nothing comes out or comes up.
Facts.
You know, just for that simple fact. But just think about, you know, now he somewhat missed the social media era just by a little bit, I guess, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. And has exceeded every expectation.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. Facts, yeah.
And you know, you can't take that away from him. And then, you know, he was able to add the social side. But what people do when they try to use that to tear other people down. I said, I'm not using that to tear people down, because everybody had to stand on somebody's shoulders. You know, Mike had to stand on Magic's shoulders. You know, Magic had to stand on Oscar's shoulders. So everybody had to play their part to build this building. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't, because you're the top brick, don't make the bottom brick any less important.
Yep, that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm use that. That's stolen. I'm using that one.
It's all good.
But
so
my fault.
So I mean, that's what it goes to, man. I mean, I got a lot of respect for that man. You know, I got a lot of respect for that man, because I understand like, think about it. He drives the news cycle. Every moment he drives the news cycle every moment, and so you saw in the documentary, man. That I'm pretty sure, like with Michael Jordan, that gets tiring.
Yeah,
that gets tiring. So to your point about it changing, I think that the young people today are more equipped to handle the limelight a little bit sooner. You know, you think about even with your era, you guys playing, like right now, you know, these guys able to go home and see their highlights from the night's game on YouTube right away.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or they able to take it on, like, you know, we have Huddle at our school, so you know, you can watch the game film on your phone that night, the next day in school. I can chop up clips and show you where you mess up on defense, and have it to you instantly. So the game is I'm having the game's going where it's going. It's changing for the better. You know, I know. Do I have a preference? Do I have a preference? Of course, I love, you know, 90s, you know, Pistons, Pacers, forearm checks, shoulder shift. You going through, ain't no free release through the lane, But like I said, the dog is a dog. You know, as much hell as I give Steph Curry, I know he would get off in any era.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, you can't stop that. You can't stop that.
You know, unless he, you know, my only beef with him is that defensive side. But you know, that's a whole other animal for another day.
It is. So, like, before we get on the recruitment side, I'm gonna ask you something about this. Do you feel like sports coming back right now is a distraction, or it'll be a tool in what we're trying to do?
Hey, man, I feel like anything, brother. We are the only people that are expected to be monolithic in our thought. And I say that to say we can drive multiple lanes.
Yeah, facts.
You know, as a boxer, it's great if I knock you out with one punch, but I can hit you with 5.
Yeah, facts. Yep.
So if we're fighting this battle, yes, it'd be awesome if we just all get together and hail one mighty punch. But it's evident that we got to throw multiple punches.
Facts.
So we got to get you at all angles, in my opinion. So whatever those bros decide, if they decide they want to play or they don't want to play, I think that because if you're that, I think I heard Bomani Jones mention it. If you're that easily distracted or easily swayed because sports coming back, you weren't ready to make a change in your life anyway.
Agreed.
Okay. I know the fear is, well, hey, if we got everybody to recognize what's going on now. But like I said, the people who are going to turn the TV off already turn it off anyway.
Yep.
We just got to keep fighting a good fight regardless of that fact. And so if I can get you on this angle, you know, it's like a student. You don't teach one way.
Facts.
You teach them to solve that equation multiple ways. Hopefully one of those stick.
Yep.
So in the same context, when you're looking to change a nation who has an ugly past and a great past, you look to address it from multiple angles, because there's somebody who may not learn from the angle that you came in. So there's somebody who's already shut down from the whole protest movement, the continuous bombardment they're getting from the news. They've already shut down. But if I can slide one in on you and you watching the game and you happen to see a message in there, I got it in on you. That's my thought.
Yeah. So, and I absolutely agree. But I feel like the NBA, I'm going to just say the players in the NBA, I'm not going to say the NBA, have always kind of been vocal about what's going on in their own, and not necessarily, literally vocal, but like they've always shown, like even with the I Can't Breathe shirts, putting different things in there to make people know. I think that this going to sound crazy. I think in our culture, we value celebrities and athletes at a very high level. And sometimes it's like the Charles Barkley effect. Oh, I'm just an athlete. I'm not here to be a leader. You know what I mean? So those people that want to create change when they come back, they're going to do it whether they come back next year or they come back in August, to your point. So I think people need to get off of their expectation of others, because it goes back to what you were saying earlier. What are you doing every day, day in and day out, to change the narrative on this level?
To your point about that, I'm gonna ask you a question in return.
Okay.
Do you feel like that's their responsibility as someone who quote unquote made it?
I'm gonna be honest.
When you say, now it's every man's and person's right to make a choice whether I want to be a role model, leader, changer, etc. But do you feel like being a member of the minority is your responsibility?
I'm going to say I do feel that way in a sense, and I'll explain why. I do feel that way in a sense, and I'll explain why. Sometimes being hated or misunderstood is the price you pay for being in the position you occupy. So,
Indeed.
So a lot of these guys, like, okay, let's take leadership out of it. When you have influence to the level in which they have influence. So when you look at people like let's take a rapper real quick. Lil Baby put out the song Bigger Picture. Whether he is going to stand in that for years, he uses influence in this moment to try to create change.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like when you get on these levels, and you don't have to do it all the time, but when you have that type of influence for us, and you know where people follow you and how they would do it, use it. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Because at the very end of the day, most of these NBA players, most of them came from backgrounds similar to people that's in the struggle. A lot of them did. So I just don't like when they came from it and you get on and don't want to go back and change it. Now, if you're a behind the scenes guy where you ain't all on the camera saying I'm doing this, I respect that too. I respect that as well. But in the very same note, in these moments, use your influence. Use your influence. Because it's a difference, to me, it's a difference when you have it. Because some leaders are chosen but don't have influence. Some people have influence and, you know what I'm saying, they're not considered a leader. But a lot of these people have influence, use it.
Indeed. I mean, I agree. I agree, man. I asked you that question because I know a lot of times, you know, people do want to be able to have the ability to take that stand. Like you said, I'm not a role model. I don't think we have been blessed with that position to take, to be honest with you.
Fact.
I think you have to choose a lane that you're comfortable in and make your change that way. Now, Charles's lane may not have been to be a quote unquote role model, but I know he does push for his people.
He does.
Everybody may not agree in the way he does it, and that's fine. Again, we have to get off this as a people that we all have to think the same way.
Facts. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The funny thing is, man, my mom and I have been, you know, having these discussions, if you will, quote unquote, about the whole movement, because, you know, for her generation, you know, she went to segregated schools all her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but for her generation, the mindset is, at least I was able to go to school.
Mm. Yeah.
So she has passed the baton, which is what she's supposed to have. She's one of those bricks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important that we continue to move forward, you know. And so I say all that to say, man, just do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just do something. And
when y'all have
you
these,
recognize that. Go ahead.
When y'all have these discussions, how does she feel about the movement? Does she feel like we're moving it forward, or are we like they handed it off and we staying stack? And the reason why I'm asking, because me and my grandmother had those conversations. You feel me? And
right.
my grandma sometimes be like, "We gave it to y'all for y'all to do this." Like, and for me, I'm like, it's back. Like the way with social media, the way change is going to happen is going to be very different from the way change happened from when they were doing it.
I tell you what, Mims. One of my good friends, older guy, not even older guy, he 5 years older than me. So one of my good friends, he always give me some good pearls of wisdom, man. He good country Mississippi boy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, man, if you think about it, you get conditioned to be comfortable in certain arenas.
Facts.
He said, for my mom's age group, they've been conditioned that, you know, that's enough. At least was able to go to school.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So with that conditioning, they don't necessarily want for anymore. And they don't see a need for anymore. Now, that's not a negative, but, you know, it's always like, you know, you've heard the saying that you have friends and family here for a season and a reason. Right?
Yeah.
And so their season has ran its course. They need to do in their season, you know, it's the cycle of life. You know, take it back to your Lion King. You know, they served their purpose in that regard in terms of they pushed us to a certain point. They've handed that baton off, and they go from there. Now they may not like it. My mom is very similar. She, you know, in her mind, it's like, why y'all doing all this quote unquote mess? You know, why these ladies in the street? Why they, you know, she's very big on all lives matter. You know, that's a whole nother argument for another day. But,
yeah, boy,
you know,
yeah.
So, you know, you know, and she's not, I ain't gonna say she's not down. She's not down on it, but she, in her mind is, if I'm like, Mom, so what if that was me or my brother? She's like, well, I'm gonna ask y'all, what did y'all do? Because in her mind, if you do what you're supposed to do, you work hard, everything will be okay.
Got you.
Because for her generation, they were just happy to be able to get that opportunity to work hard and be okay. But I think she also understand that you got to push the envelope. I mean, that was the beautiful thing about my mom and my dad's relationship. My dad was the firecracker. My mom was the calm, subtle one.
Yep.
Now I know my father, had he been here, he'd been all for it. But my dad at times was on some other stuff. He was, you know, he would definitely be on some pseudo. I know you ain't let that white dude score on you type stuff.
Oh, yeah. Facts. And that's how my grandfather would have been.
No disrespect, but I think that's because he was also conditioned in the era where he was like, I'm gonna take mine.
How'd you break that? How'd you break that? And when I say break it, I'm not looking at it as a bad thing, but as we talk about sports and then how everything evolved, parenting evolves, the way you think evolves. So like, how was you able? But like, so for me, my mom was the same way. Even though she, you know, my mom is probably not in that generation. But when you say condition, it was like never work, do what you got to do. Don't have no late notices. Never get evicted. Make a decent life for yourself. Make sure you're there for your family. And it was just like, boom, just be a good person. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, how was it taking the way you were raised, which wasn't bad, wasn't wrong, but it was the way you were raised, and like taking that information, evolving it, and now implementing it to your kids in a whole different world in which you came up in. Does that make sense what I'm asking you?
Yes. That's why it's extremely important that you recognize. I remember having this inner turmoil / debate with some friends of mine when the whole thing came up with what's the running back for Minnesota? Well, he was Minnesota for a long time. Anyway,
Adrian Peterson? Yeah.
Yes, when Adrian Peterson got in trouble for whooping his kid.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
You know, so for me initially, I'm like, hey man, need more like you. Gotta beat him.
For sure.
But then I'm thinking about it, like somebody said something that made me hit home, and like you just said, your parents did with the best they could with what they had at that time.
Yep.
Now, it only made it right because they just simply made a decision. I tell people all the time, there's no right or wrong decision, just making a decision, and you make the best of the decision that you made. So I take from my mom and my dad, and I take nuggets from it. Like you do anything. You make yourself open to it. You take it in. You research it. You decipher it. You mull it over. For me, I pray about it, and then I move forward because there's no manual. You're going to find this out. There's no manual. You're going to get 1,000, it's like coaching. You get 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? Yeah. But even as a parent, it's 1,000 ways. You can get 100 parents in the room. They're going to all have 100 ways they would handle their kid.
Yep.
Their child, excuse me. So I take it for what it's worth, man. I take the good. The part of my dad I took from him is the pride that he had in his name.
Yeah. Fact.
My dad, man, I remember my father telling me about time, he and my mom, when they first moved, they came from Johnson County and moved to Raleigh. When he first moved to Raleigh, man, they didn't have a car. They lived with my uncle in Knightdale.
Got you.
My mom and dad worked downtown Raleigh.
Yeah. They had to figure
they
that
ain't
out.
had no money. They ain't had the bus won't run out. They ain't had no money for no taxi. It cost too much. They walked from Knightdale to downtown Raleigh.
Oh wow!
To make sure they had to get to work to get stuff done. So the pride that he took in his name and who he was, those things I take and recognize, and I try to instill into my children. Because you're right, it's a different game. If I coach for the game that my dad had, I'm gonna be out of date.
Yeah.
It's like trying to use technology from that period. It'll work, but you're gonna be behind.
Yeah, facts.
You see what I'm saying? So I think as a parent, like I said, you want to make sure that you pass on the good, the what you cipher as good things. Everybody might not see it as good things, but what you cipher as a parent is a good thing. That's why I think it's important that you have a spiritual guidance, whatever you decide you want to believe, your family to believe in, that you take that and you let that guide the way. Because trust and believe, if you feel like everything is on you or inside of you in terms of answers, you're going to run yourself crazy, man.
For sure. And to that point, and the reason why I'm like that resonates more, because obviously I'm about to have my first child, and I'm like, yo, the conversations if I'm gonna be real with you, if I had him a year ago, the conversations I believe that I would have to have with him are far different from the same conversations just a year ago to right now. Because coming up with my mom, I lost my mom in 2012. The one thing about that I realized, I learned more from her after she left than I did from when she was here. And that's no knock on her. It's just when we was on the other pod the other night, and we talking when you become an adult and the perspective in which you see things and how you experience it. You was like, yo, because it's times in my head, I'm like, that's what she meant. That's what she was saying. And to have those moments now in the current the climate that we're in right now, when my son can talk, it's like I got to talk to him in the language he understands about how to move in this culture right now, because kids are growing up in a fearless age. Believe it or not, phones make them feel like they're gods. They live in a fearless age where they don't think nothing can happen to them. And it's kind of hard to tell somebody, a young black dude, be reserved. And he's like, yo, I'm out here being me. You know what I mean? So
it's a gift and a curse, man. And that's a great point you made in terms of that the digital age has empowered, but it has also overpowered a lot of young people.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you see that in school as well, where you get the thumb thugs is what I call them. And so you get behind that screen, and now all of a sudden I can create this persona, but they got to understand and realize that in certain situations you're going to have to live that persona. And so that's where the disconnect comes a lot of times for young people is, and that's why, I don't trying to be on one, I ain't trying to step on nobody's toes, but that's why it's so very important that you have a certain level of maturity when you're talking about rearing a child. Because, you think about, it's going to be scary enough for you when your son get in. You'll see it because you're going to look in that face, and it's going to be a love that you've never experienced in your life. You love your wife. I know you do. But that love that you're going to have for that child, and you got somebody depend on you, and you looking at that child like I do any and everything in this world in my power to make sure you're going to be all right.
Yeah, that's real.
And so realizing that, so then you recognize, think about, you got that feeling in you, and then let's say, God forbid, you stuck in a situation where I got to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be
Yeah.
hit a corner, whether it be hit a
Yeah.
lick, whether it be,
Yeah.
you know, I got to do it. And so now you understand a little bit more. And let's say if you have been in a situation where you coming from a home where you couldn't understand why my dad did this thing to go to jail. But now having my own child, I see why he did what he needed to do. He felt like he needed to do.
Yep.
But that's not gonna mean I'm gonna push my child to do that. But that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So to your point, man, I mean that's just how I'm with you, man. I look at it like, you know, you take the best of what you get from your parents, and you try to pass it on to your kids, your children, and then you move forward. Like you said, it's gonna be a totally different world. It's gonna be now. To that same point, I remember having a lot of conversations. You know how I felt like certain generations came through Athens that felt like that we had quote unquote made it. You know, whether it be them allowing folks to use the N word around them that normally wouldn't have went down smooth.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has manifested itself because I think as a culture we got to a point, you know, where we was getting the shiny suits and we was making plenty of money and we thought everything was okay.
Yeah.
And then we get smacked in the face and recognize, oh, they still see you as what they see you as.
Yep.
And so I think as a culture, we kind of needed this kick in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we got complacent.
We did.
You know, multi-generational got complacent. I know a lot of times a lot of stuff gets thrown on millennials and Generation X and Z and D and Y, whatever. But we all got complacent. We all, you know, resonated in it, kind of wallowed in our having made it, if you will.
And I think to that point, I think because each generation had their thought about what freedom was. And once you got it, you never realized that it was something that you needed outside of what you thought you wanted. So we get to that place and it's like, oh, well, I'm good. I got this. And then you start to get experience because that's the best teacher in life, no matter which way you flip it. And be like, dang, but I need this, but I need that. And the thing, you know what I think changed the game? Like you just said, being able, if something happened today, I can click share in the world to see it. You can't hide stuff the way you wanted to hide it once upon a time. So now it's causing people to react and move and damn near be proactive and trying to stop or prevent problems. And I'm not saying us, I'm saying things that's happening to us. Like, even with the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, we still got that late. We still got that information late. You know what I mean? So, like, you don't know the steps that's being taken for this to get to us. Even though it came sooner than it would be in the back in the day, it was somebody trying to say, don't let this video get out.
I tell you what, to that same point, it just kind of hit me now, Keenan. Just hearing you say that, thinking about, I mentioned earlier about the 31 years ago, the Spike Lee joint.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up in that era, and, you know, obviously, like we all know, police brutality in this form is not anything new.
Facts.
But I remember being a young man hearing about these stories, and in my mind at the time, because I was disconnected, like I'm in North Carolina. In my mind, that's what the NYPD did.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, it don't happen in Raleigh. It don't happen here. Because again, think of, like you said, in that era, only time you saw was on the news. And you never saw footage of it. You heard about it. You heard about the young man went down to the precinct and never came, you know, he came out already, you know, dead or what have you, or, you know, he came up missing. And so that connection, that digital age connection and like I said, has been huge for us, getting that kick in the butt, like you said. And like you said, even still with the digital age, still getting it somewhat late. But, you know, like I said, it's been a gift and a curse. It's been a protector for us. We're able to pull that phone out now, but it's also has led to us creating some bad habits of like you said, you know, is one thing to post about something and to say, I'm going to do this in the third. A great point I heard from Dr. Deborah Stroman. She's a professor at Carolina. She was on the radio the other day.
Okay.
And she said this was huge and it resonated with me. Whatever you're doing right now is what you would have been doing during slavery times.
Whew.
And she was like, you know, you hear people all the time say, man, if I was during that time, I would have did this and the third. I'd have been fighting. I'd have been on the front line during civil rights, whatever. And she said, just think about it. Whatever you're doing right now, is what you would have been doing during whatever period of time our people were in the struggle, which has been forever. But whatever you're doing right now. So if you was playing the background, if you just worried about your family only, that's what you'd have been doing then.
Good gracious, that hit home.
And so as you think about that, and as folks listen to this and they think about that, just kind of take that to heart, like, so don't get it twisted, like, oh, well, I know if I'd have been right there beside Mark. No, if you get at home now, you've been right at home.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? It goes back to that levels thing, because there's a lot of people that's not on the front line, but they still doing their due diligence. But no, it's just crazy to think about it, because it's like, my wife and I say this. I'm a rebel. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because, like, if she wasn't pregnant, I would have been to a whole lot of protests. But since everything going on, I've been in the house. But it's funny because the way I move now is different to the cause, but it's on the everyday level. It ain't because like I probably will never post it, but like the way I approach things, the way I hold myself when I walk in the room, and this is different from 6 months ago, because it's never been more important than it is now. Because again, I keep going back to the kid.
We the millennials, for real, we back and we working. All of these clowns like to stay in the circus. They do. K-Dot be bringing the proof, but none of these people like hearing